and welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. We are in the part of the show where you saw the title. There's an interview happening. 12 years. 12 years I've been doing this, and boy, oh boy, it's getting harder and harder. Apparently so. Hey, I have a very special event for you today. I was going to say a very special thing. I don't know if that makes sense. I have an interview with writers and executive producers and siblings, Jeff and Liz Astrof. God, I hope that's how you pronounce the last name. It's either, I'm gonna say Astrof. I'm gonna be confident and pick that version of the talk. The what? The pronunciation. Jesus Christ, Chad. 12 years. 12 years a slave to C plus comedy. If you're not watching the video, I am black, so I can make that joke. Jeff and Liz Astrof are here. I'm sticking with it. They're here to promote the new NBC comedy Stumble. Stumble is a mockumentary style comedy regarding a high stakes competitive world of junior college cheer. It stars Jen Lyon from Claws, and if you didn't watch Claws, you're missing out on a good show. I like Claws. And yeah, Claws is very female forward and female centric. And yeah, I was watching it for the girls, the women. It Stumble also stars Taran Killam and Kristen Chenoweth, who I was very excited to see in the show. Now, if you're listening to this the day this comes out, on Friday, November 7th, I'll give you a time period. It's currently 3:05 p.m. But this interview was recorded at some point in the past, as most of them are. Then the show premieres tonight at 8:30 p.m. on NBC. But you can watch it the next day on Peacock, so that's great. Peacock's great. Did I get a... I wish Peacock would give me some type of a way to watch it without me having to pay for it. God, I would love it. Stumble is watch the trailer, watch the pilot. I assure you, it's a funny show, and Jeff and Liz and we discuss how hard it is now to make comedy and to get comedy consistently made. And you may have access to all streaming platforms and cable channels and broadcast channels and everything, but there's not a lot of comedy out there in the world, and more so than, and this is now me talking, but this is beside the conversation we just had, but it feels as though comedies don't get as much of a chance as they used to. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll see, a comedy show get a second season order before it even airs or even in the middle of that first season. But man, it just seems like more and more comedies are being thrown to the wayside. Now, Jeff and Liz, you've seen them. You've seen their work for years. Liz has worked on, as a producer, Not Dead Yet, the Gina Rodriguez show, that was fantastic, and unfortunately that show is over, but I love that show. Check it out. She also created, executive produced and was the showrunner of Pivoting. She worked on Shining Vale. She worked on Trial and Error, which Jeff, I believe, was the creator and writer of that. I changed it because Pivoting, she did not create Pivoting. Sorry. She also worked on Raising Hope. I mean, come on, King of Queens. Meanwhile, Jeff, this is very. I'll get to probably his most famous show in a second, but it's very funny because as soon as I ended that conversation, I just turned on the TV and I saw his name on the episode of that show. And you probably understand what show it is. He wrote episodes of Angie Tribeca. Do you remember that show, Shit My Dad Says, starring William Shatner? It was based off of the Twitter handle, which was very popular at that time. People used to get jobs off of Twitter. People used to get friggin' shows off of Twitter. It's ridiculous. He was a developer of The Wild Thornberries. Oh my goodness. That's cool. Oh, he also wrote episodes of Duckman and Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Okay. Now, the show that he worked on in the 90s was Friends. And I'm not kidding. As soon as I ended the conversation, or the end of the conversation was ended, I went over to the TV, I turned on YouTube TV, and bam, Friends was on TBS, as it always is. And it happened to be an episode that it said written by Jeff Astrof. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, I realized that this preamble is too long. But since Mark Maron is done, I'm taking over the space as the guy who's preambling. Okay. Let's recap. Check out Stumble on NBC. I promise you, just watch it. Give it a couple episodes. And it's a show that you can sit down and enjoy. Again, but I am biased because I do like comedies. So check it out on NBC. And you know what? All I can do is probably say something like "stay tuned," because after that conversation, you've got a whole rest of the episode with me. And don't you want that? If you want, there's no video on this for this interview. All right. Well, okay. Check it out. Stumble. NBC Fridays. Peacock Saturdays. Enjoy. Liz and Jeff Astrof. All right. Well, Jeff, Liz, I thank you so much for sitting down with me, and congratulations on Stumble. I
Thank
know
you.
that you guys have been in comedy forever, but man, it's so hard now because we have so many comedy shows that just get canceled left and right,
Yeah.
and I want them to succeed, especially on NBC where they reigned for so long.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
We
you. We both
thank
started
you.
on NBC. Did you start on NBC?
No, I saw it on ABC, Harry Mr. Cooper, but I was on Friends, which was, big thing show, if you've heard of it. I was on Friends on NBC. I've actually done a lot of shows on NBC, and my show Trial and Error was on NBC.
Mhm.
Look, it was very weird. Last year was the first time I went out with a comedy. First time in the last 20 years that I didn't sell anything. And then Liz and I had this idea, a couple of years ago, and we were just like, let's do this. We went out with this, and I had just ended. My show got canceled. Liz's show got canceled. Let's do this, and it just cracked us up. Like the
We
idea
laughed
just
so. It
cracked
was
us
so
up.
easy. The pitch was fun, and we play off of each other really well. And it was so much fun to write. And
I
that's
know,
never the case.
and right when it got picked up, people were like, "Please save comedy," and I was like, That's a big task, honestly. I want to save my house." Uh,
I know. I wanted, yeah.
but I don't know. It's just like there's just no comedy right now. I always
Mhm.
tell a story. This is to date myself. When I came out to LA in the early '90s, and I was at Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers had 22 half hours. Just Warner Brothers did
Wow.
at 22 half hours, and so it was just like, hey, you want to be on a TV show? We'll be on a TV show. We'll try stuff. And now I don't know. NBC picked up. Were we the only comedy? I guess they picked up one more show, Tracy Morgan
Yeah,
show.
the Tracy
Yeah.
Morgan Show. Yeah.
And they
But
have
like you can't look at that. You just have to do what is this show. We loved the idea in the beginning, and we brought Monica Aldama on board, and she and her choreographer Dalston give us such incredible cheer. And it's just wanted
amazing.
to do a show that people like screamed at the TV when they saw it, and I think we got that.
Like standing up at the
Hopefully in a
TV.
good way
Yeah.
for the cheer, not the boo. Why is this on? You're killing comedy.
Oh my God, I can't wait for the comments.
I know it's really like as TV writers who've done this, like there's so many, and a lot of people have covered this angle. There's so many people who are, I had these people I know, I always call them like the canary writers. Like as long as they're still working, I'll be writing. And there's nobody we know so few people who are writing comedy. And,
Yeah.
even for the job for the actors, we had 14,000 submissions
Wow.
for the cheerleaders. And I asked one of our assistants who said that we had like, I think over 600 writers submit
Yeah.
for
Damn.
the 8 jobs on
And
staff.
great writers. Like really, we had our pick, and which is amazing and also kind of sad
Mhm.
because so many brilliant people are out of work.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Jeff got me to move here a long time ago to be a TV writer. And, in the past when we were striking and picketing, it was my second strike. And I was like, thanks, Jeff. Thank
I
you.
was like, I'm going back to delivering
This.
sandwiches, which is what I did when I came out here. So,
I delivery has gotten a lot more competitive
well, I
with
know
the
there's
jobs
little
that are
robots
coming.
all over the place. I
Oh my
can't even
God,
do that
those
anymore.
robots.
Yeah, we have the robots here too, and I've just welcomed them in. I don't allow them to deliver me anything, but I
You
see them on the
do?
street. No, yeah,
Oh,
they're right up the street, and I see them with my dog, and I go, this is you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine.
yeah.
It's so
It
weird.
takes
Like,
jobs from people and also Waymo. Do you have Waymo there or no?
We got Waymo early this summer,
why
and
Waymo, by the
So
then
way, is
weird.
incredible. But my wife and I were walking the other day, and a Waymo passes, and then 2 robots pass. I'm like, we're just living
Where
the
are we?
future. It's just
yeah,
we're living the future. It happened like we didn't know. All we need is a flying car. That's why I kind of want a flying car because then it's over.
We're
yeah,
a
Like,
Pixar movie. We are a
yeah,
Pixar
it
movie. We're
really is.
Wall-E.
we are Wally, and
We are
everybody
Wall-E.
is just as big, except now they're all wearing weighted vests too.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So, yes,
This is not a weighted
I'm
vest. This is
Wall-E.
just being in production.
Now, I wanted to ask, was the show always going to be a mockumentary? Because we've had kind
Yes.
of our fill of that, and now I'm always willing to watch I'm willing to watch any comedy. I'm also willing to watch pretty much any mockumentary because they're still good and they're still effective. I mean, just look at the paper. The paper was so well done on Peacock, and I think that there's still a lot of jokes there to be written for that format.
So
We love it.
we love it, but it's very interesting. This is I said this too. This is like every single person has asked that. Like we were in our bubble. Like I did a show, I don't know, I guess like 7 or 8 years ago called Trial and Error, which was based on The Staircase, which was a documentary. And I was like, oh, we'll do this documentary mockumentary. That was the only reason, that was that. And I met up with the director, Jeff Blitz, who was a documentary filmmaker and taught me all the rules of that, which there are a million. And then when we were doing this, when Liz and I came up with this idea, we're like, it has to be a mockumentary because it's based on loosely and not in a litigatable way. It's inspired by the
Inspired by
documentary
cheer.
Cheer. So
Yeah.
it's like this is a sports
With the
doc.
cheer coach and her choreographer from.
Right. So it was never not going to be that. To be honest, I originally started thinking about mockumentaries, 9 years ago, just because I didn't want to work long hours. And I heard that those hours are shorter filming. But it's not like, again, I said like Modern Family was a mock doc, but didn't really need to be. I don't know why The Office was a mock doc. The original Office
Mhm.
was, I don't know why, I guess the paper, it's kind of built into its kind of premise, but this is in the DNA of the show. And also, I think what it's going to do that other mock docs don't necessarily do is like the characters are kind of aware of it. You know what I mean? Like, and Courtney, sorry. One of the things we like is that when we came up with it, we were like, it's funny to have a documentary because people always ask like, well, why is this documentary being made? Like, and that's what I had to do with Trial and Error. Like, what is this? What form are we seeing? And so when Liz and I thought like, oh, it's very funny that the documentary crew thinks that they are going to be following her for her championship season. Instead, it's a huge shit show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've always, and just the redemption story and all of these underdogs, it was just so
It's
right
just
for
it's
us.
just fun, and there's a million jokes you could add
There's
to
a
it.
million jokes. We fill everything with like the camera, picks up this and that. It's so much
It's
richer
just
than
fun.
anything else we would do.
I appreciate that because yeah, again, like you guys, you've had shows like Shining Vale or shows like Pivoting, and both shows I really like, and I've seen a lot of your resumes. It's fascinating whenever we can still have a version of a show and make it better and elevate it. And yeah, I just like comedy shows, and it seems that
Well,
you guys are
I'm
very
really
confident
glad
about
because
this.
it's not, so I did an interview the other day and somebody was asking how come there's no comedy for like 20-year-olds anymore, like with Friends. And I said, like, I don't know if young people watch TV that way. Like I was
Especially
on,
since the pandemic.
yeah,
Like,
I was on Friends when I was in my 20s and I was writing about characters in their 20s. Like Liz and I are not, we were never cheerleaders. We were just doing things, we're writing for characters to who have heart and who are funny, and
underdogs.
we honestly really, the whole point of this was to make people laugh, to make people scream at their TV at the cheer, and you'll see some cheer coming up that's just
Incredible.
incredible, thanks to Monica and Dalston. And also, to something fun, something funny. There's just not
It's
a lot of
really
comedy now.
fun.
I'm not watching comedy now for probably the last few years. I haven't watched a comedy.
I watch
Succession was
mostly,
the last
yeah,
one.
Succession. Murder. I like a lot of true crime.
Mhm.
If it's not real, then real crime. I don't watch the TV show about it. I like to watch, I'm a Dateline junkie. So that
Wow.
and Love is Blind. So I don't really watch, yeah, there's no comedy that I watch anymore, I think. Old episodes of things. Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm always rewatching things too. It's I think that's a very important part of having a good show is just the ability to rewatch and rewatch over and over again.
Yeah, and this show also is like, again, it's Joe, and not even joke a minute. There's 5 jokes on every page, and the camera finds it. So like, if you watch this again, you'll see funny things and names and things. Honestly, to get a show on right now, you have to hit every single every single button. Like,
Every demographic, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
just everything, and we weren't aiming for it. We just like,
Right.
this really makes us laugh, and I was telling somebody the other day that, like, because of the deal, we would make more money in penalties if the show didn't go. I was like, hold on, but
Wait a
like,
minute, what?
wait,
But
what?
also, like, I always write, I think I always like pivoting was coastal, and that was supposed to be set in Long Island, and that's not, that doesn't have an entry point for everyone, although I think it, people did watch it, but I think that this has, we always say, like, to not write about ourselves or something personal is always, Jeff always says, like, that's the winner.
I've been telling Liz that because I wrote pilots for 20 years about myself, and no one cared outside of me.
No,
And then I told Liz, you got to stop doing it. She's like, well, I just sold a show called Pivoting based on my life. I was like, damn it. Because that's why I did an Error and then Shining Vale. And then this is not. But, we are hoping that's relatable. We're hoping that the underdog status is relatable. Cheer is just such a universal thing. Like, you can't
thanks to
not
cheer, yeah.
love it. Like, I think it's just,
And it's, yeah, it's also the stories are stories that could happen to anyone and people will relate to. And then the cheer is just the world they live in,
Right. Yeah.
aside from
I'm
their quirky town.
well, I'm excited for this, and I'm excited for other people to see
Thank
it. And
you.
thank you.
congratulations on the show. And again, it's hard, but you made it. But Jeff and
Thank
Liz,
you.
thank you so much for the time. I
It's
appreciate
awesome.
it,
Thanks,
and
Chad.
I can't wait to see this show premiere. I'm excited.
Chad,
Yay.
Chad, I think you should call us
Chad.
A minus comedy. You've been our best interviewer.
Thank you. 12 years going strong, and we'll continue doing
Keep
that.
going, keep going.
Amazing,
We'll see you
amazing.
at the end, Emmys. You get our interview when we're nominated, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
First
it.
one, make
Okay.
sure NBC, make sure Chad gets the first interview. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. We'll
Thanks,
see you.
Thanks,
Chad. Have a
Chad.
good one.
And we're back. Did I give it enough time to pause in the middle of that? I don't know if I did. Welcome back. Welcome back to the episode. What's been going on with me? Nothing at all. I didn't go to any movies this week. I just did not have the time. But I did on Wednesday. Today's Friday. On Wednesday, I set up a list of shows and movies and albums, because this really stemmed from albums, but shows and movies that that have been living in any of my streaming services, or not even my streaming service, not just like just living in lists, not in lists. I'm sorry, just living in streaming services and on the YouTube TV DVR. That that have just been sitting there for so long that I just need to get rid of. So I made a list of all these shows and movies. I'll tell you, one of the shows is Jack Ryan. I watched 2 episodes of that. And the criteria is I've seen 1 or 2 episodes and I just want to get it out of the way. Just knock it out. One of those shows is Jack Ryan. One of the movies was The Prince of Egypt. So there you go. That's where I am on that. And as I mentioned before, this did stem from me going to, I have YouTube Music as my streamer of choice, my music streamer of choice. My second one is SiriusXM. I did listen to SiriusXM at the gym this morning. You on the app, they have a workout section, and I can just listen to Lithium Workout. The hip hop, I'll say this, I like SiriusXM a lot. The hip hop is really lacking, and they play every single hip hop channel, and there's only like 4, but they play problematic people. And I know every music genre is going to have a problematic person, but and by problematic, I mean, like, I have made a stand against this. It's the same thing I feel. And like these people, the rappers that are problematic, and R&B artists, and there's one R&B artist that they continually play that I had to get rid of the R&B channels because his songs will just pop up and I can't even like separate art and artist. But there are some people in this world, I understand separating art and artist, but the trailer for the Michael Jackson movie came out and I went, I don't know why this needs to be around. I have no faith in it. I'm not going to go see it. I'm not going to go see it. But I did do some research on it. And apparently, yes, the guy playing Michael Jackson is his nephew. It's Jermaine Jackson's son. And apparently the Jackson family will say that they were very, happy about this movie and they pushed for it or something like that. But all the behind the scenes stuff just did not seem like it was very conducive to a creative environment. For one, they probably had creative input, even though I read that it says that the screenwriter said there was no creative input from the Jackson family. But however, there was a Jackson family representative, i.e. a Jackson family member, on set every day, at least one every single day that they were shooting. The show is also supposed to encompass his entire life and career. So I assume the Jackson 5 will get that. And then also, I was texting with somebody, are they going to do the blanket dangling thing? Are they going to do all of the allegations of impropriety against him, child boy based impropriety? I don't know. I wonder if that's going to happen. Is this going to be as honest of a portrayal of Jackson? There is. Yes, he's a very talented artist. I cannot fault that. And on 80s on 8, whenever Michael Jackson pops up, because I don't on my YouTube Music, I'm not playing Michael Jackson, nor am I playing Chris Brown. There's no leeway for any of that. But when it pops up and I hear 20 seconds of Beat It, I'm like, yeah, this is it's as great as it was. But are they going to be able to do that justice, do the young men justice who were assaulted by him? And as I said this in a text last night, I used Bill Cosby as an example, his situation. You don't have to believe all 60 of the women that accuse Bill Cosby. You just have to believe one. So if I don't recall how many young men or now adult men accused Michael Jackson of abuse, but you don't have to believe, all 5 or 10, but at least one of them is telling the truth. And that's not to say that's a lot are lying, but man, that's tough. And so I watched the trailer and I heard the music, some of that music for the first time in a very long time, and I went, yeah, that's it. He's a good artist. But then that sent me down a rabbit hole of. But besides doing research for that movie, I was just down a rabbit hole of Michael Jackson Wikipedia. Well, oh my gosh, I don't know, man. It's kind of it's a little harrowing in the very lightest sense. It's a little harrowing to 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 have that movie come out and like to reread and just like refresh my memory on all the stuff that happened in his life, including marrying two women who he probably didn't need to be marrying. Just especially like Lisa Marie Presley. It's just, oh my gosh. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Jeff and Liz Astrof talking about Stumble. What else did I do this week? Oh yeah. So the albums are the ones that started this list. This is the thing that's the section, the genre of media that started this list. And there are just albums I had saved on my YouTube Music that were just sitting there, and I haven't even pressed play on them yet. So it included Haley Williams' Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party. I believe that's a full title. I just wrote Ego Death here. Tomorrow, X Together. King Princess, Girl Violence, Big Thief, Double Infinity. Yeah, stuff that was just sitting on there. And then also some musicals I wanted to get into. If you like musicals, it's well worth like sitting down and listening to musicals. Just surf the internet, do something. Doesn't really matter, but just like listen. That's how I listen to albums. Is either I'm at the gym or I'm doing something that is passive, like my body can just do, and then I can focus on two things at once. That's how I take things in. But I listened to Merrily We Roll Along, and I really enjoyed that. That was a fantastic musical to hear. But then there are some, like the Paddington musical, and I get this. I understand what I'm about to say is crazy. The Paddington musical premiered last Friday at the West End, on the West End. I wanted to hear the music. The music is not available in soundtrack form. You can't hear the music outside the musical. When I put together this list of albums to get through before the end of the year, I thought all the musicals I put on here were going to be available. Merrily We Roll Along obviously is available. Sunset Boulevard is obviously available. Death Becomes Her is not. There's like 2 or 3 songs. And I'm so frustrated. Why does this not exist? When before Hamilton came out, I bought the thing. I don't know if that's true. I did buy it. I think roughly around the time it was out. Again, I was in early on Hamilton. Before everybody. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'll close down that list. What else? I'm slowly making my way through the 3 games that I am currently playing. I don't know if I mentioned this. Last week, I beat something like 2 weeks ago, and then last week I decided that I'm only, because I'm playing like 7 games at once. I said no, I'm going to focus up. So I'm currently playing Hogwarts Legacy on Xbox. I don't have any money to buy a Switch 2. But again, I'm working my way through the Pokemon games. I think I just beat the Sword and Shield DLC. Oh, I'm playing the Scarlet and Violet DLC. Okay. Oh, yes, and I'm doing something else with Pokemon. I'm at Cynthia for Brilliant Diamond. She's hard, so I'm currently leveling up for that. So I'm technically playing 2 Pokemon games. But I'm also doing the Mario Kart 8 booster course pass. I just want to get first place in all the things before I get Mario Kart World. And then I'm also playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. And it's just more Uncharted. Yeah. And that's it. Oh, I finished Blind Spot. When I work out at home, before I never liked to watch TV, but now I do. And when I'm on the bike riding Peloton, or when I'm on the other side of this wall is my storage unit, and that's where my treadmill is. I've spoken about that so many times. I have a treadmill. It's in my storage unit. I bought not very long. I bought an extension cord, and 3 times a week I use the treadmill 4:00 in the morning. That's not a joke. Anyway, So there's a treadmill on the other side of this wall here. And so when I'm on the bike or I'm on the treadmill, I'm watching Peloton on the iPad and my phone is playing Blind Spot or whatever show. Earlier this year was Gotham. Then it was Blind Spot. Now I'm, again, knocking shit out, which is great. I love it. Not really. Because one of those, like some of those shows I have gotten halfway through and now I'm just like, where was I? What is this? Who are these people? Okay. Oh. All right, let's get into the first story. This comes from Variety, written by Jazz Tenkei. IMDb adds credits for intimacy, coordination, choreography, dubbing, and 9 more professional categories. This is big news, especially if you work in this industry. IMDb is adding, basically points to your resume. If you work in this industry, you want to be able to, and if you don't have a website, you want to be able to go, hey, I worked on this, this, and this, and then have an avenue for people to go look at it. Previously, these credits were grouped together under additional crew. The other new credit categories include, on top of intimacy, coordination, choreography, craft services, puppetry, voice actor dubbing, they also include color department, health and safety department, legal, production department, production finance, and accounting. That's one. And then property department and publicity. Now there's 45 total professional credit categories. This is, as Tenkei says, this is a step towards greater visibility for all entertainment industry professionals, which these people, again, somebody working craft services, or providing craft services, somebody working in the color department, somebody doing intimacy coordination could just fall by the wayside. And, sometimes, especially in the line of work in which I am in, that's either like make or break depending on the jobs you apply to. People, I can say, hey, I worked at Cartoon Network, and people could be like, okay, that's great. That's on your resume, and we can go ask them, and they can say yes, but they want that middle space where there's proof, which is why when you see a lot of creatives with websites, then you can say, oh, okay, I get it. IMDb now accepts credits for dubbing foreign language versions of movies and TV shows, creating new opportunities for these professionals to showcase their work globally. This is thanks to consultation developed through ongoing consultation with leading industry organizations, including the Choreographers Guild, Colorist Society, IATSE Local 161, IATSE Local 871, National Association of Voice Actors, Property Masters Guild, and SAG-AFTRA. There's going to be some more expansion when it comes to the categories and professional categories, credit categories, but this is a great first step. I'm all for people getting noticed with their work, especially with their hard work. It doesn't matter if they work on a big thing like the Wicked movie or something middle of the road like a cable show or something that is a short. People should get recognized so they can be able to get more jobs. All right, moving on. This comes from Tania Garcia over at Variety. Recording Academy welcomes 3,800 new members, expanding to include Latin Recording Academy voters. The day before the Grammy... this is November 3rd. And today is November 7th. 4 days before the Grammys were announced, the Recording Academy, and it said it invited that more than 3,800 members, 3,800 members, who were actively working in the music industry to join the Academy as part of its new 2025 new member class, expanding the pool of qualified voters ahead of the 2026 Grammy Awards on February 1st. Today, November 7th, is the day that the award nominees were announced. So people can go out there in this new batch of people joining the Recording Academy. They can go out there and vote for Bad Bunny. I don't know why I chose the Latin artists, but they can go out there and vote for Bad Bunny or Kendrick Lamar or Chappell Roan. I was about to call her Hot Pony Club, and that was a mixture of both of her songs. I lived for 2 seconds leading up to me saying Chappell Roan. I forgot her name, but I pictured her face. That counts for something, right? With the aim of building a more globally representative body, Monday's announcement revealed the accepted class is comprised of 50% of people 39 and under, 58% of people of color, and 35% women. This, in some respects, and I'm not going to say this as an insult, because you'll know it's an insult if I say this. It's like, it feels like it's an overcorrection on the Recording Academy's part that tends to really choose basically like to be out of touch. And when they are in touch, when they try to be in touch in quotes, they more or less feel as if like they're pandering to the audience. So they'll and this is just an example that I'm pulling out of my butt. They'll choose 20 Sabrina Carpenter songs over, a Brandy Carlisle or something like that. I don't know. Brandy Carlisle's new record I just listened to. Fantastic. Church and State. Check it out. That's a song from the album. Check it out. I like it. I think this is a great idea, and great idea. The Film Academy brought in a very diverse group a couple of years ago. Whenever Terry Crews joined, I remember he was one of the people, and I just people that I think that was after the Oscar So White the first time. And yeah, this seems like it's a good move for the Grammys, for the Recording Academy rather, excuse me. And I think I didn't know that there's a stipulation that you had to continue to be working. I feel as though for these Academy voters, things are changing, and the thing about having to have been working is a very important stipulation. I also read that in order to vote for, and I don't know if it's true or not, but in order to vote for the Academy Awards or the television Emmys, you have to. I would like. I don't know if this is true or not, but I would like for people to, if you're a comedian, you get priority to vote for the comedians or something like that. If you're in a drama, then you should get priority to vote. And you're a producer for a drama, you should get priority to vote for a drama or something like that. Because it just doesn't make sense that everybody gets to vote for everything. But on the other hand, where would the votes come from for the casting department? Anyway, it's pretty cool. Recording Academy membership consists of voting membership for recording creators and professional membership for music business professionals. All members have the opportunity to participate in the organization's year-round initiatives, driving meaningful diversity, equity, and inclusion progress through the DREAM Initiative, advocating for creators at the federal and state levels, engaging in programming with the producers and engineers wing and songwriters and composers wing, mentoring the next generation of music industry talent through Grammy U, supporting peers across the Academy's 12 chapter cities, and more. Again, they can all vote for the Grammys. All right, let's move on. Actually, I have to keep one of these open for LinkedIn logs. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Alex Weprin, inside the New York Times vertical video strategy. If you updated your New York Times app in recent days, you'll notice that there is a brand new section. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Speaking of which, I just got a New York Times whatchamacallit. But if you're watching the video, you can see me point to this. On the bottom bar, there's the home section, there's the play section for the games, there's the U section for personalized stories, and then there's a vert section, a vertical video section with under watch. And it's every single app that you use is going to be going towards this TikTok style notion of watching vertical video straight up on your phone instead of having to turn it, because that's how people watch things now. The YouTube Shorts is turning to that. Reels is turning to that. YouTube has introduced Shorts to turn to that. Instagram has Reels to turn to that. But it all was blown up mostly because of TikTok. There's another. Oh, the New York Times cooking app has it. I'm if don't quote me. Yeah, they have an inspiration section, and it is literally just a like TikTok scroll. Now, what's interesting about the New York Times one is that it is curated. The section is curated, and thank Christ, audio doesn't automatically play. It's fascinating, but it's curated, and it's literally just the video that they've been doing, but in vertical form. I like it a lot. I don't want to use it, but I do like it a lot, and I've been noticing, especially in the past couple of days when they promoted this, more vertical video on the website, which is I don't want to say it is what it is, but that's what it is at this point. Who else has vertical stuff? Somebody else. I know it was New York Times Cooking. I know I said that. It might be The Athletic, which is also another vertical of, speaking of vertical, of the New York Times. Wall Street Journal does not have it yet. And they probably won't. Oh, but ESPN does. They have that new Verts section. That's why I called it Verts. You can see Adam Schefter sitting there talking about whatever bullshit he's talking about. But as Alex Weprin gets in here, their New York Times took notice. They want to be a part of the conversation, and they feel as though they can bring in more of an audience with these vertical videos, but also they can the people are being exposed to them on other platforms. Hopefully they can find a way, the viewers can find a way to find what they're calling a predictable place where they can find video journalism on the New York Times platform. Now usually I'm against something along these lines. LinkedIn introduced games, which I don't want to spend any more time on LinkedIn than I have to. So why would I want to play games? But the New York Times has games, and LinkedIn's like, let's get in on this craze. Also, New York Times introduced a create your own Wordle, which I did not think I would like, but man, I like it a lot. You can just play other people's Wordles, and it can't be racist, and it can't have any mean words, which is very fun, very cool, and very fun. I was going to say cool the first time, but I did not. The journalists are enjoying it. Now, according to the New York Times, journalists in the newsroom are being proactive about reaching out to the video team, aware of the benefits of the format. And I think it's very true. I think even what's going on? I think even the most established journalist who has a passing idea of what TikTok is, they see the benefits. They see the reach that TikTok is having. We have videos from The Opinion, from Cooking, and from The Athletic and Wirecutter. They're all independently producing really powerful coverage that feels incredibly valuable as a part of the mix, says a New York Times representative. I don't want to find this person's name. On some days, you'll see NFL highlights and recommendations for mac and cheese. You'll see interviews with senators and everything like that. Yeah, I think this is it's what they've been doing, but they're putting it in vertical form. I hope that there's not a shift in going to just that, because I would rather have journalism over this video thing, or over strictly this video thing. And the only reason I mention that is because, yeah, you go to the video section now, it is straight up vertical video. That's it. Like if you hover over here, I'll do this. Just pop this open. If you go to the video tab, you can see, and you click on today's videos, it's straight up just vertical video. You know, This is what I'm concerned about as we move on to these growing forms of media that have become increasingly the norm, and they're pretty much the only things that people tune into. Like my sister watches just TikTok now. She doesn't watch TV anymore, which is asinine to me, but whatever. You go to the audio tab and it's mostly just podcasts. You see the daily. Okay. You see the headlines, which is the short form version of the daily. You see episodes of Modern Love. You see episodes of Hard Fork, a show I had to unsubscribe from because I just find them so annoying. You see episodes of Cannonball, which is a show I avoid because I find them so annoying. You see the Ezra Klein show, which has its own up and downs. Where I understand this audio thing is mostly encompasses most of the podcast. However, they do have author-read feature pieces on the New York Times platform, and the only way you can find those is if you scroll down to a story that is written by an author that is big enough for them to be read by the author. Otherwise, it's read by an AI voice. So why give me these things? The New York Times had a really good year, by the way. They want about 1 million more subscribers by December 2027, and I think they can pull it off. I don't pay for a lot of news subscriptions, but I do really like the New York Times. And then they were in hot water today because they had a hold on, let me double check because I don't want to mess this up. They had an op-ed called "Did Women Ruin the Workplace?" And that one was written by, it came out yesterday. It's a discussion between Ross Douthat and two women. And I have no interest in watching it because it's an hour long, but what a dumb fucking fiery question. This is going to spark some controversy, Ross said as he looked in the mirror and combed over his hair. All right, and finally, this comes from Variety, written by Tatiana Siegel, Brent Lang, and Matt Donnelly. Inside David Ellison's dramatic first 100 days at Paramount, courting Tom Cruise blockbusters, forging ties with Trump, and daring anyone else to buy Warner Bros. Discovery. Let's start with that. We know that David Ellison has a hard-on for WBD. He wants the new Paramount Skydance to be able to own pretty much everything. He wants them to own 2 news outlets, which what the fuck is going on with this goddamn thing? What is going on? What? Okay. He wants CBS News and CNN to trade sources and work together. I don't know how that would work. He wants to make Mission Impossible movies and new Batmans. He wants everything. But God damn it, what's going on? But more importantly, he wants to own 2 of the biggest movie studios, 2 of the most storied, movie studios in the history of entertainment media. He also wants to air the UFC fight at the White House. The MMA fight at the White House. June 14, 2026. What the fuck is this world coming to? When Skydance took over Paramount, it pointedly referred to itself as a media and technology company. Ellison has repeatedly said that he wants to, quote, embrace AI, and in meetings, he alludes to having developed revolutionary ways to understand what consumers want by accessing vast troves of data. He's fond of boasting that Oracle's technological know-how will transform Paramount Plus from a second-rate app to a dominant player with a better user experience. This is this is what is very frustrating. Later on in this piece, he says that it is said that if Ellison is able to get Warner Bros. Discovery and merge it with Paramount Skydance, that he would sunset HBO Max and move all of that stuff over to Paramount Plus. If there's any app that needs to be sunset, and this is an app I use every single day, it needs to be Paramount Plus. It is such a second-rate, cut-rate, bad app. It is so bad. Every single time I load it up on the television, on Google TV, to the very least, it stinks. None of the versions of the app that I have access to are on the same plane. The iPad and Android OS app are the best versions, but they're on mobile. Then the Google TV app is good because it has Dolby Vision, but I have to restart it every single time I use it. And then there's also the LG TV app, which doesn't have Dolby Vision, and because it just has like HDR10 plus. Then the Xbox and PlayStation apps, which I don't even touch because they're not even as good as the LG one. It's just so frustrating. Or they probably are as good, and I just don't even care. Ellison said he wants, quote, more content, not less, says one source with direct knowledge of his thinking. The proof is in the mad dash of his film chiefs are making to build their slate from its current 8 annual releases to 15 by 2026, 17 by 2027, and 18 by 2028. They have people working there like Cindy Holland, who helped develop Netflix, its original programming strategy. Now she's running the direct-to-consumer operation at Paramount. Now, obviously, you know who David Ellison and his family are. Larry Ellison, who is his father, helped bankroll this whole thing. And Larry Ellison is a staunch Trump supporter, and David Ellison more than likely is as well. They also just purchased the Free Press, which was run by Barry Weiss, and now Barry Weiss is now running CBS News. And it was basically a newsletter that is now, I would say, a right-leaning newsletter that is now a part of what's supposed to be an objective news organization that is going to be skewing more right. Just like CNN. They laid off roughly 1,000 people. Or 2,000 people, something like that. Just a couple of weeks ago. Larry Ellison is a friend of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and is a prolific donor to Friends of the IDF. Oof. Barry Weiss has hired 5 bodyguards that cost the studio $10,000 to $15,000 a day. Who do you think's coming after you? Oh my gosh. This is a fascinating piece to get through because you get, sourced ideas about, and by sourced I mean like sources, they're sources, but you get sourced ideas about what Ellison is up to behind the scenes. So what they want now is another Top Gun, they're already working on it, another Days of Thunder. They want to do another Star Trek movie and bring back Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of those people from the J.J. Abrams reboot series, which I like. I do like that series. It's been gone for a minute. I don't know if we should bring it back. But I like Star Trek. So who cares? I also like Top Gun, but Top Gun Maverick is perfect. So let's stop it. And do we need another Days of Thunder? Well, we got another Top Gun, so who cares? I'm surprised that, and I mentioned this in LinkedIn logs. I talked about Taylor Sheridan leaving Paramount. He left Paramount for NBC Universal. He's still on contract with Paramount until the end of 2027, I believe, or 2028 for television and film. For television, I think it's next year. It ends next year. And then for film, I believe it ends the following year. Oh, no, excuse me. It's opposite. For film, he can start making movies for NBC Universal 2027. And for television, it's the year following that. So he's Taylor Sheridan's at NBC Universal. And my theory is he left and there were some things surrounding that. But my theory why NBC Universal went so hard against him, like after him, and by hard, I mean like they were courting him more or less. They weren't like, we got to get him, but they were courting him, is because they saw how Yellowstone does on Peacock. And they're like, this guy's pretty prolific. And now they have, their Ryan Murphy, their Shonda Rhimes. Go listen to LinkedIn Logs. I talk about it. It's a really big story that I just can't even seem to remember right now. So, but in this world where David Ellison says we want more content, not less, and I hate using the word content. Wouldn't Paramount Plus has not including Yellowstone because that's on Peacock, but they have 1923, Lawmen, Bass Reeves. That's 2 spinoffs. 1886, I believe. That's also another. That's the wrong show. That's the wrong show. 1886 Yellowstone, is that what it's called? It's called 1883. I was very close. They have 1883. So that's 3 Yellowstone spinoffs. 1926 is multi-season. They also have Landman. They have Mayor of Kingstown, which I believe is a Sheridan show. Like a majority of their originals on Paramount Plus were created by David Ellison. I'm not David Ellison, excuse me, by Taylor Sheridan. So why would you not want this guy to stay with you? He does have a high price tag, and the shows that each episode costs more than total seasons of other shows combined. But I would have done my best to say, hey man, let's see if we can work something out. Sheridan's also doing the screenplay for Call of Duty. Wow. Can't believe it. What? Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this says prior to the merger, television sets in CBS News and the executive offices were usually tuned to CNBC or CNN. Now employees have conspicuously changed the channel to Fox News, according to one executive. Another source, however, disputes this and says most of the offices are still being renovated and have television sets that have yet to be mounted or plugged in. Why is this a part of anything? I don't know. I don't see Warner Brothers going to Paramount. I believe David Zaslav, the current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, said this week that they will announce who their potential suitor, their final suitor, would be in December, like who they'll go with. Apparently, they've gotten a lot of offers, which, yes, obviously makes sense after they said a couple weeks ago we're officially for sale. And if you'll remember, some of the suitors beyond Paramount Skydance have included NBC Universal, as well as Apple and Netflix. I would go with the devil stick with Netflix. I don't know if Apple TV has the capacity for all of the stuff that HBO Max offers. But then again, I don't want, I would hate for a giant studio like Warner Brothers to be, and I said this last week, to be making spinoffs of The Sopranos, to be doing, more and more superhero movies, to be doing other versions of, Gremlin spinoffs. Like we don't need content. We need movies and TV shows. And that's the problem with this bubble that bursted years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, but the bubble that bursted, that is television and film, where everything was being made, and then suddenly People don't want as many Star Wars movies. They don't want as many superhero movies. That's not to say Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars aren't going to do gangbusters, because they will. Is it Secret Wars? It's Secret Wars and Doomsday, right? I think so. I don't know. I know Doomsday is one of them, because Doctor Doom is the guy. It's the industry is in shambles, and I would like to get to a point where I wish I was working when it was good. Several years, like a decade ago when I was in college, I wish I was working. Wait, how old am I? More than a decade ago. Jesus, whatever, it doesn't matter. I forgot how time works. When I was in high school, that's when it was good, baby. I'm currently reading through. So this year was this year was the 50th year for SNL, and they're currently in their 51st season. And I decided to take it upon myself to read both SNL books that are available. One is Live from New York. It was a book that was released in like 2003 and updated in like 2012 or 2015, something like that. And then there's Susan Morrison's Lauren book. And I mentioned this before, but if you read I read the Lauren book first, and I heard none of those stories. And then I watched all the documentaries that were happening during SNL 50. So then I got all the stories from SNL that I thought I could ever get. Then I start reading now, as the 51st season begins, I started reading Live from New York, the updated version, whichever year it came out, in 2015 or whatever. And, I'm hearing some of the same stories, and then I'm also hearing this new stuff that no one ever talks about. And you hear how SNL was, people think about the first 5 years of the show. Oh, it's full of drugs and sex and all this stuff. Then you get to the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, and like, oh, the show is in limbo and it's up and down, and Eddie Murphy's big, and Chris Rock didn't do well, and Adam Sandler, and there were no women and things like that. Then you get to the 2000s, and people aren't doing drugs. They're not partying all the time, and they're just kind of working, and you're learning about the industry at that period in the 2000s is vastly different from what it was in the 80s. It's vastly different from what it is now. It's really cool to see how that has changed, and also to be a part of it, and to go, yeah, that's just not how it's done anymore. You can't just be in a comedy show in a city that no one knows, and then someone has seen you, and then they happen to be close to Lauren and be like, hey, Lauren, how about checking this person out? Now it's all like a TikTok. You got to be on TikTok. I like the book. I really do. I'm almost done with it. I'm so close to being done with it. There is a book that I would say halfway through, and at this point in time, because I'm reading like 3 books right now, not including a comic book that I check out a comic book via Hoopla. I check out comic books via Hoopla, which is a library app. You can hook it up to your local library, check out things for free. There is a comic book. It's the DC Universe meets Looney Tunes, and this is, without exaggeration, I have been checking it out for the past 3 months because I've only been reading one story and then completely forgetting it exists. Oh my God. I should just sit down one day and just read it. But I'll be reading something else, or I'll be listening to something else. And then I'll see that, like right now, I'm listening to Cinema Speculation. That's what it's called. I think I forgot the title last week. Cinema Speculation, Quentin Tarantino's book about movies. And then I'm reading the Live from New York, and then that comic book, and then there's another book. Desus and Mero's book. I'm reading that one too. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see most of the things that I've done. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/C Plus Comedy, where you can see me in all my glory. You can also see video versions of LinkedIn Logs, which is the Jobs podcast, and Late Night Lately, the late night show. If you don't think I'm wearing, if you watch the Late Night Lately video and you see a green shirt, this is the pink version of that shirt. You can also see me talk to famous people under the interview. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at C Plus Comedy on TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.